Are you ready? Here comes the ambulance guy.
Ambulance Guy is here to talk to you tonight about the entrepreneurial mindset. All right, let's go. First portrait. We got to talk to you about the entrepreneurial mindset tonight. The ambulance guy, you with the ambulance guy tonight. We're gonna talk a little bit about the entrepreneurial mindset. For those of you that want to be entrepreneurs, and all those other kind of preneurs, let's talk a little bit about the mindset of an entrepreneur tonight. That's what we're gonna do tonight. The mindset. What for a successful entrepreneur? What is it that you with the frame of thought should you be in? What should you be? How should you be different from everybody else around you as an entrepreneur? That's the question. How should you be different tonight than any other entrepreneur out there, right? Or in your particular business, what is different about you than the folks around you? You know, how should you influence and impact them? What is it that you should be bringing to the table where folks will want to follow you? How is that? Why should anybody follow you? What is so special about you that folks need to follow you? All right, so this is the entrepreneurial mindset that you should have. We're gonna talk about that tonight. Sent TikTok universe to boom, boom, boom. All right, so I'm trying to figure out who's in the room. Who is in the room? No online viewers. Let's get some people into the room. Let's get some people into the room. Let's go. Can I TikTok myself? Let me TikTok myself. Started following you. Somebody started following me. I'm gonna get TikTok myself. I'm about to TikTok myself. Come on into the room, people. Come on into the room. Ride it, ride it. All right, come on into the room. Come on into the room. We are going to talk about the entrepreneurial mindset tonight with the ambulance guy. Let's get on in the room. Let's make it happen. Let's get into the room. Let's get into the room. Okay. Monitor the live. I'm going to monitor the live from here. Let's get into the room. Let's get into the room. Let's get into the room, folks. Let's get into the room. Interacting with the viewers in real time. Boy, I am live chat. I am monitoring myself. I guess I'm monitoring myself. Come on, anybody into the room? Get into the room. Y'all want to talk to the ambulance guy about the entrepreneurial mindset. You do want to talk to the ambulance guy about the entrepreneurial mindset. You do want to talk to me about this. Let's go. Live, monitor the live. Okay. All right, let's get in the room. I saw somebody in there for a second. Let's go. Let's get into the room with the ambulance guy. Hello. Okay, we got some joiners. Let's go. We getting into the room with the ambulance guy. Let's talk a little bit about it. What we got going on. What is the ambulance guy gonna talk about tonight? Listen. Let's just get into it. Let's just get into it. Why don't we just get into it? Yeah. So a lot of folks think they want to be entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs out there. A lot of things, but there's a lot of things that go into be an entrepreneur. There's a lot of different emotions that occur from the thought of wanting to own your own business. That alone gets you out of your entire comfort zone. You want to get into a space. When you say I want to be an entrepreneur, what does that really mean? You know, have you laid out your goal for what is being an entrepreneur mean to you? An entrepreneur. Well, for me, when I got into business, I started. For those that just joined, I'm the ambulance guy. So I own an ambulance company. Raise your hand or say something in the chat if you know folks that own an ambulance company. Well, you see one now, and well, I own an ambulance company. We not only do I do ambulance company, I do wheelchair transportation as well. So I do all modes of medical transportation. When we started, we were doing wheelchair only, and now we moved on up all the way through the different stages of ambulance, and now we're at the highest level of an ambulance company. And what thing that you have to do, I don't care what business that you go into, you really need to understand the mindset of the entrepreneur. You got to understand the mindset of an entrepreneur. I'm going to talk to you tonight about that, what that mindset looks like to me. Well, these are all my things of what I think an entrepreneur look like. There are five things that I think a good entrepreneur need to have, right? Number one, an entrepreneur has to be visionary. Now, what are you talking about? Yeah, an entrepreneur has to be visionary because everybody around you won't be able to see what you see. They won't be able to know what you know. You are the one who's going to drive this ship, right? You're going to drive this ship through your vision, and folks have to be able to have something to follow. You have to be the one that exciting them so much that they want to follow you. Whether or not you pay them a lot of money or a little money, you have to be the one that they believe in, and that's going to be fueled by your vision for that business. Is that a short-term vision, long-term vision, whatever it is, it's going to be fueled by that. Where you have people that, whether or not I've heard many stories of folks that, hey, well, I couldn't even pay them up front, but they believed in me and they stuck in there and they hung in there. Your vision is going to be the one thing that drives. Remember, I'm talking about five things right now, but we're going to stick on this visionary thing right now. Now, and for those of you that read the Bible, there's one thing in the Bible, Proverbs 29:18, it said, where there is no prophetic vision, the people perish. I would say where there's no entrepreneurial vision for his business, that business is doomed to fail, right? Business is doomed to fail. You have to be able to see. Now listen, you may not know all the detail. You might not know all the detail that go from A to B. You might not know all of that. Look, Leroy Better, I see you in here, Granny. Look, you may not know all of the detail to get you there. And somebody say, pissed off debt collector. That's your name, pissed off debt collector. I like that. Well, and Gail, I see you out there, and Solene. So thank you all for joining. But look, you're talking to the ambulance guy now. I'm Alex Dunlap. I'm the ambulance guy. So I don't know how many ambulance company owners that you know, but you know one now. Well, I'm glad to meet you. We're friends now. So listen, for the entrepreneurial mindset, though, visionary is the first thing that comes to mind for me. Why? Because when I went into business, I had to see where I think this thing is going to scale. I wanted to scale from zero all the way to $100 million. I need to figure out what does that look like? How do we get from zero to $100 million? I mean, and then whatever your vision is for your company, folks, whether it's expanding globally, whether it's how many employees you have, or whether I don't care what your vision is. Make sure that it's not too small. Why? Because it's very easy to reach a small goal. At first, I thought, and many of you had probably thought the same thing. I thought that maybe $100,000, when I was in corporate America working, I thought that $100,000 was a lot of money. Come to find out, it really wasn't. And then fast forward, right, when I decided to retire from corporate America and go into my own business, then, the very first thing I thought in my mind, $1 million, that would be great. Because $1 million is always kind of the benchmark for companies, or a benchmark for folks. And then when we got to that number, it wasn't all it cracked up to be either. So I'm just telling you, do not set your goal too small because you just might reach it, right? Solene, when you make your goal, and Bama, when you make your goal, hey, but Divine Pieces, hey, how you doing? When you make your goal, I need you to 10x that. So whatever you said out your mouth, I need you to 10x that in your mind, because visionary is the first thing. Being a visionary is the first thing that folks are going to gravitate to. They're gonna gravitate to what you have in, and then look, you got to communicate that vision. If you got people following you, you got to communicate that vision to them. Now you ain't gonna be able to give it all to them at one time. No way possible, right? They won't see it that way. See, a free Q, is that how you say that? And limitless, they're not gonna see it like that. And I like that. I like that name, limitless. They're not going to see it like that. Hey, I need you guys to tap the screen. So I want other folks to come in here because this is free game. This is free game from a 7+ figure business owner. Right? Started from nothing to where we are now, and I want to help all of you, get there. Now I'm the ambulance guy, but I also created efficiencies through AI. So I'm gonna talk to you about that as I go on. Being a visionary is so key. It is so key. So key, Limitless. It's so key that you have to be able to communicate that to folks that are around you because they often won't be able to see it like you, but it don't matter. As long as they believe that you know what you're talking about. Right, Muhan? Right? You got to, they have to believe in you that you believe in what you're talking about. So a vision, Proverbs 29:18, where there's no prophetic vision, the people will perish. And that is certainly true in business as well. Where you don't have the vision to carry forth what you're looking at. And look, and your vision has got to be, it's got to be way past your current comfort zone level. Way past what you see yourself to be. Look, folks, you deserve whatever it is that you thinking and more, right? Think whatever you thinking and more. So just make sure that I'm telling you right now. Listen, kills trails and trapper. When you make your vision, I want you to 10x that, whatever that number was, whatever that expansion is. 10x that in your mind. That's too small. Whatever you just thought was too small, right? It's too small. So visionary for me is the very first thing, man. Folks are we might keep bouncing back in and coming back to that one because that's so key. The second thing for me is operating outside of your comfort zone. I'm talking about tonight the mindset of an entrepreneur. Operating outside. I can't tell you how key that is. For 23 years, I ran an IT department for a corporate 500 company. I retired, and I heard of an opportunity to go into medical transportation. Is that outside of my comfort zone? You better believe it. I have no idea what that is, but I understand there's opportunity there, right? And I know another thing. I'm sorry, I get a little tongue-tied when I get excited about this. I know one other thing about corporate America. They will keep you there as long as they need to, and if they need to show stockholders that they're making money, then they go to cutting heads. We call it efficiency, right? We call it efficiency. No, it's cutting heads, right? And no matter what, it's just. It's no look. They don't care, right? If you got to go feed your family, they don't care about that. No. They don't care that. No, I gotta satisfy my stockholders, and my stockholders, they got to see that we know how to grow the business. Number one, we know how to grow the top line, and we know how to reduce the bottom line. You're just a name, a number, boom. Whether it's corporate America, whether it's a small business, it doesn't matter. So for you that desire to be an entrepreneur, those that are already running that path right now, I can tell you right now is that you're trying to take your own destiny in your hand, and that's the way it should be. I believe everybody should have something, a side hustle or something. You can make a great living in corporate America, but understand, if they have the ability to hire you, then they have the ability to fire you. You don't have to do anything wrong. You don't have to do anything wrong, Trapper. You don't have to do anything wrong, Limitless. You don't have to do anything wrong, right? You just a number that day. Because I've been through, when I was in corporate America, we had a Black Friday. That means that a bunch of folks got clipped from the organization. We had a Doom Monday. We had all sorts of days that it was just time to take what they call efficiencies. In other words, cut heads out, right? So you have got to be listening and willing to take on something out completely outside of your comfort zone, right? Because listen, I always say this is that there is no growth, zero growth in being comfort and being in a place where you just comforted, right? There's no growth there. There's comfort, there's sitting back, there's relaxation in a comfort zone, but there's no growth, right? And so if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's all about growth. It's all about how you're going to scale this business from 0 to 100 million. Welcome in, Benjamin. How are you going to scale that business from there, right? How are you going to scale that? So being outside of your comfort zone is key, especially for growth. Now, if you want to just sit at home, or you just want to just take a corporate America job, or go work at McDonald's or something like that, feel free. Yeah, nobody's going to disparage you behind that. But I'm telling you, if you coming in here thinking I want to be an entrepreneur, there are requirements on you, and those requirements have to be first visionary, and second be willing to step completely out of your comfort zone. Right? Step completely out of your comfort zone. The third thing, I'm on number 3 now from the entrepreneurial mindset, is being adaptable. Right? Being adaptable, right? When things shift, changes happen. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about being adaptable coming up, because those that are not adaptable, those that won't see the trends coming up and won't be able to move and shift the way that it should be, you will be eliminated. Your company won't. Listen, any of you, if you will, for me, put in the chat any companies that you remember used to be in existence that you enjoyed, you loved, whether it's a grocery store chain, whether it's a company where you used to get all your groceries, where you get all your clothes from for school, all that, restaurants out there. Name some of those places that no longer exist that were there when you were a kid growing up. Name some of those places that you exist. Steve, you remember anything that used to exist and no longer exists? It was a big corporate chain. Ronald, anybody? Listen, look, you heard of Sears? Now I hear Toys R Us is on its way back, but Toys R Us was here for a long time and left. Any major food chains that you guys remember that's just gone? Right. That's because a lot of them weren't, somebody say, well, some other factors, but many of them just because they were not adaptable. They did not flow with the new time. What is the biggest thing going on right now, guys? What is the biggest thing going on right now that if you don't adopt right now in your business or in your brain or in your mind about your business, that you'll be left behind? What's the biggest thing right now? Anybody can tell me? What is the biggest thing going on right now? You see it all over the news. You see it out. You see it, and you got it in your hand. You got it on your wall, and you got it in your cars. That's right. It's AI. Right. AI is the biggest thing that's I need engagement from you guys. So I'm making sure that I'm dropping jewels here. AI is the biggest thing, and you have got to be in a position where you have to adopt that in your business. For those that are just new coming in, I am the ambulance guy. I own an ambulance company. And the most important thing for me now is to understand where are the efficiencies coming from. How can I stay current with the times, right? And so there are a few things that we utilize AI for. There's a few things that we use it, and it shapes the world. When I was in to the beginnings of the business, I was the driver, I was the dispatcher, I was the HR, I was the accountant, the phone taker. I had to go out to the homes to evaluate. So look at all of that. Now, if I had AI when I first started, then my life would have been a whole lot easier. Come on in the room, guys. Come on in the room. Look, the water's warm. Hey, Jasmine, Anthony, great for joining. Morning, noon, and night. That's right. We don't sleep. We don't sleep around here morning, noon, and night. We got to keep it going. An entrepreneurial mindset does not stop working. Entrepreneurs, successful ones, we just can't stop figuring out what is the next step for the business. We cannot afford to say, rest on my laurels and say I made it. It's impossible. I don't care if your goal was to get $1 million and you finally made it. Then what? what will happen is if you rest on your laurels, then you will lose that million, and then ultimately you will get shifted out of here. Companies that start from 0 to 5 years, most of them gone. But by the year 15, 70+% of all of those companies are out of here. Why? Because they were not visionary, they were not adaptable, they stayed in their comfort zone. They just stayed right where they were. And to the point where they no longer exist. No longer exist. Right? So being adaptable is key, guys. So I want you guys to embrace AI. Somebody said, well, AI is here to take my job. Nope. AI is not here to take your job. AI is here, and it will have somebody that understands how to utilize AI the right way will take your job, right? Will disrupt your business if you're a business owner, because somebody in the same space that you're in, using those efficiencies, will be able to go out and then run circles around you. So guys, look, entrepreneur, this is the ambulance guy saying hello to you all again. For MC, thanks for joining. Melissa, Zakama, Max, hey Fritz, all you guys, thank you for coming in to my live. This is the conversation we're gonna have. It's a fireside chat that we have an entrepreneurial mindset. Learn from a successful entrepreneur that hey, if we had to go from zero, if we had to start all over again, it would be I have a much easier start now. But learn how to scale your business from 0 to 7+ figures, right? And now with the efficiencies of AI, they're saying, guys, and you probably heard this, right? Have you heard this, Melissa? Is that they will create billion-dollar companies with just a few AI agents and maybe a couple folks in there. Billion-dollar companies will be made from that. What does that mean? Wait, how is that possible? Right? A lot of these so-called mundane tasks that you have to do, like taking phone calls, you call some of these big companies, and listen, I'll say this. Every large company in the world has an AI strategy. And what is our problem with small businesses? They're thinking that, well, no, I don't think. No, every large company in the world has AI strategies. Do you? What is your strategy? Do you have one? You got to have one, because you don't want to be one that is not adaptable and stuck in your comfort zone, and then your company is defunct after just after you done put all your hard sweat, your heart, your money, your time, and you had people come in and say, I believe in your vision, and then you fail. Not only them, you fail yourself. Right? So we don't want to be in that position. Guys. Thank you all for coming. Thanks, Rainey. 1, 2, 3. Joseph, thank you for joining. Kelton, thank you for joining. Hey guys, give me some engagement though. I don't know. I'm very new to this, but I'm not new to business. But I'm new to this TikTok world. So I need your engagement. I need to know that I am saying something that actually is penetrating in you. So, because I want you to move to action. All right, so we talked about being visionary. That's 1. We talked about being out, operating outside of your comfort zone. That's 2. We talked about being adaptable. That's 3. And then number 4 is as an entrepreneur, you have to be a risk manager, right? We're not just throwing things. We're not just throwing things to the wind, without understanding that if this happens, then what? If X happens, then how do we Z, right? We have situations come up where we may overbook, right? And in my business, we may overbook some slots. Okay, so now what's plan B, right? Should all of the patients go, what do we do next, right? So we have to have risk management in place, right? That can mean a lot of different things, but you need to understand that you being adaptable and you having a risk management portfolio, that you understand that, hey, when this happens, that happens. Not to the point where you completely fail, but things happen in business, right? You cannot predict everything that happens, but you need to you need to be the risk manager. Your people won't be, but you need to be that risk manager. Yep. And then here's the last one: is a lot of folks don't even think about this. And I'm gonna dig more into them. A lot of people don't even think about this. But then, folks, after all of that said and done, you have your business up and going. You have a steady income coming. You have patients coming in, or customers, or whatever you call your business, right? You have all of that coming in, and then at some point, as a successful entrepreneur, at some point, you have got to be a resource to someone else, right? You have got to be a sounding board for someone else. You have got to be the one that imparts your knowledge to make someone else's life better as they go into the journey that you're facing right now. You have got, and look, and you don't always have to charge for it either. Somebody say, well, I got to charge for everything. Well, I'm telling you, you won't. When I came into this business, nobody told me anything, right? Everything that I learned about it was bumping my head. Why? Because the industry that I'm in, and maybe in the same way as you, it's a lot of money in my industry. And it's only a few players in my industry. There's not a lot of people owning ambulance companies. It's just not. A lot of regulation, a lot of cost, a lot of overhead, not a lot of people in it. So nobody's willing to give you any information that's going to help you necessarily compete with them. Here's my thought on that. If you decide that you want to own an ambulance company in my city, I'll be an open book to you. I will give you information you need. I will talk to you about it. You know why? Because what happens is that I know very few people in the world will execute on what you give them. They just won't. A lot of people will ask for knowledge and this, that, and the other. Their head so full of knowledge they can go on Jeopardy and win. They have so much knowledge that they just know everything, but never move, never execute. Have you heard this term paralysis by analysis or paralysis by over-analysis? Right? Why? Because people have the inherent ability to want to know everything, but so afraid to make the move. So afraid to make the move. So being an open resource, guys, an open book for everybody, because they call this term now gatekeeping, right? So it's always been a term, but gatekeeping. That's for those folks that, hey, I'll give you just a little bit, but I'm going to hold it back because I don't want you to have too much because I'm going to charge you. I never operate like that because I see so much more come back to me when I'm an open resource. Now, when I'm an open resource, so much more comes back to me. I'm so much more fruitful when that happens. So I would encourage all of you. You want to be an open resource. Now, you got to have a positive attitude too. Now, let's say you're going in your business and everything is going great. And everything ain't going great. That's when your attitude has got to be even more positive, right? When things are just not going well. So when things seem to be falling apart, you have got to be that one. Come on, I'm talking about the entrepreneur mindset. I'm talking about the one that has the vision, the one that's driving the business forward, the one that's the one that having people latch on to them and say, hey, I believe in what you're saying, so let's go, let's do it. I believe in it. Let's go, right? Right, Dontris and Alphonse. I see you all. Some of my Hispanic brothers out there in the world. Hey, Kelton, MC, Melissa. Hey, thank you all for joining. I hope you're getting some benefit from it. If you are, tap on the screen. Get your thumb loose on that thing and get your hearts and let that little stuff sprinkle down on you. Just reach right on up, right? But influence, a positive attitude enhances entrepreneurs' ability to make informed decisions. Yeah. So, when you feed yourself positive vibes, it helps you to foster more creative thought. And one thing I like to do too is when I'm talking with my people, right? When I'm talking to my managers and things, I allow them, and this is free. I won't charge you for this. I allow them to throw whatever it is they thinking onto the wall, right? As far as ideas, doesn't matter. I can't stop them and say, hey, no, that ain't gonna work. Nope. I let everybody throw their ideas out because it can be some good stuff in there. The people that you hire, the people that you put in your mix and that are on your payroll, allow them to have creative thought and let them make mistakes, right? Let them make mistakes. Why? Because if you stop them or shut them down, then they're willing. What's going to happen is that they're going to give you what they can, not what they. No. Let me say it differently. They're going to give you just what they have to give you that day, and not what they're really capable of. Does that make sense to you? See, when you shut people down, it's like your child, right? You try to give them creative expression, but if you always shut them down when they say something, then they'll have this withdrawn thing about them, and so they won't ever speak out for themselves. So you want to allow your friend, your people to have the ability to suggest things to you, and guess what? Out of those suggestions might be something that just might help to improve and to fit right within your vision and help you improve your business. Just might. So allow them that creative expression, but you'll have guardrails on it. You have controls on it. Yes, it's your company, right? But know this, that you will never, ever be able to grow your company alone and by yourself. Even if you just using agents or something, but you won't be able to do it by yourself. I'm talking about AI agents, but you won't be able to do it by yourself. That's for sure. Right. And team morale and productivity comes definitely out of that. When you allow them the feel. Here's a trick, guys, for all of you. If you can somehow make everybody feel like individual owners, right, of that company, then people will treat the environment as if it's their own, right? And then you will have many entrepreneurs working for you, but following your vision. What? Yeah. You want to have many entrepreneurs who are engaged in your vision, helping you move it forward. So they help to keep guardrails on stuff. They force things away. No, we don't want that poison in here. Like when it's time to hire new people, they'll like, no, you don't fit what we're doing in here. You cannot be a part of this, right? And that's what you want. And that is what you want. In fact, and let me give you one other jewel. I got some of this stuff that I have put out in other avenues. I have YouTube page and stuff like that as well. But when I hire, here's another jewel for you. You're gonna love this one. And it's going to be the hardest thing that you're going to do when it comes down to hiring people. When I hire people, Juan and Dantos, when I hire people, I look at them through this one lens. I say, if the shoe were on the other foot, could I work for this individual? If the shoe was on the other foot, Nas, thank you for joining, I would say, can I work for this individual? And guys, here it is. If you say no, move on to the next candidate. Why? Because that is going to be poison in your environment. Get them out right away. You don't want wait. Do you know it's a thing called acquisition cost, right? To acquire a new employee in your business, you got to spend time to train. They don't come in knowing how to do it your way. Nas, they don't know that. JT, they do not know how to do it your way. Joseph, they have no idea how the way you want it. Kelton, they don't fit in the Kelton way right now. They don't know, right? So what you have to do, right, is look at them through that lens, right? And if they don't fit that mold, they gotta go because they're gonna be poison in your environment, right? I'm talking about an entrepreneurial mindset that if you adopt these things that I'm telling you about right now, it's going to make your journey smoother, right? When you're hiring people, and look, I'm going to say it, it can be your family members, but most likely it probably shouldn't be. Yeah, look, if just because Pookie and Raymond and them is right there and they right there in your household, or they next door, they cousins and them, or your aunties and uncles, your mom or dad or something like that, that does not give them the automatic right to be employed by you or in your business or have your hands in your business. It just don't. And my wife to this day don't work in the business, even though she's connected, heavenly. In fact, she's the reason why I can do what I do. But don't don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake, folks, and hire people that are going to be poisoning your business. That's going to be poison. Hey, I don't see anybody hearting me. Put me some hearts out there so I can know. Just like it, share it. Let folks come in here and hear these jewels I'm dropping on you. Because listen, what's going to happen is that folks will take this and we will have much better businesses out there if you follow and adopt some of this stuff, right? Custom loyalty and truth. So business led by positive minded entrepreneurs, them individuals that you have running around in your organization are individual entrepreneurs attached to your business, right? Giving your customers a much better experience than they would have had if you just hired anybody, right? Just hired anybody. Now, let's go back and let's talk a little bit about that adaptability. I want to talk, so there's a lot of things that happen in an environment that will cause you to have to change the way that you do business. There are a lot of things out there that can happen. One of those most important things are market demand fluctuations, right? The market changes on you. You have consumer preferences and market trends at one point, if you can remember this, there used to be a huge market trend on healthy eating. And then they had, so everybody that was selling donuts, donuts and candies and cookies, they experienced a hard hit, right? And then some of them, I remember even KFC. You remember this when they used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken? And they started talking about healthy eating like that. And then they changed their name to KFC. Now, why did they do that? It's still Kentucky Fried Chicken, but they got rid of the fried stuff in there, right? So that people couldn't visually see the name fried in there, even though they knew what they were eating. So it's just a smart marketing ploy, right? So those things, so market demand could make you change the way you do business. So again, adaptability is super key. Another one of the influences that would happen is just financial performances, right? That's one of the things, your profit and loss statement, that's one of the things that's one of the top things that kill businesses. Not understanding the finances of your business. All of you that are on here, Nas, J, L, 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 LH in Alaska, hey, thank you for joining. So, if you don't understand your numbers in your business, you are doomed to fail. You've got to know your acquisition cost. You've got to know, your top and bottom line. You've got to know what's going to move the needle. If I change my price point $1, how would it change it? Up or down? Can I give a discount? Can I not? You have got to understand your numbers, right? And then you need to set aside some numbers that say, hey, what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years from now, right? How do I scale? Am I keeping up with inflation? You have got to understand and know your numbers, right? Like for me to operate one ambulance a day, it costs me in the neighborhood, depending on who I have on that rig, it probably costs me in the neighborhood of $1,200 to $1,500 to operate a rig for a day, right? So I need to know that. So can I have a rig out there not making 5 or 10x that, right, in a day? I can't afford not to have that happen, right? And then when I'm telling you that cost, I'm baking in insurances, I'm baking in workman's comp, I'm baking in salaries, I'm baking in overtime, I'm using those numbers as I say, hey, if I put a rig out there, then what do I need to do to 10x that number by the end of the day, right? So that I can cover that, and then just like you, I'm in business to make money. I don't know about you. Are you in the business to break even, Coach Bass? I'm not. I'm not into business to break even. Who wants to do that? No, you're in the business to gain wealth, right? Cool. So you have market demands that changes how you do business. You have financial performances that you need to keep up with your numbers. The third thing that really changes the outscope of making sure that you are adaptable in your business is technology disruption. Technology disruption. Didn't we just talk about it? Nicole, thank you for joining. You just came in the room. Technology disruption means AI. Is that technology? Is that disruptive? You better believe it. There are so many people afraid of AI, and I don't even understand it because here's the thing. And I always make these analogies. People are afraid of what they don't think that they know, right? It's here to take, you hear the negative stories. It's here to take everybody's job. Well, it can't do that, first of all. But let's look at it from this lens. If you know exactly where the internet is, type in the chat where the internet is. Just tell me exactly where the internet is. I don't care if you live here in the U.S. or you live in Spain, Japan, Yugoslavia. I don't care. Hey, welcome, sunshine. Hey, hello back to you. I don't care where you are. Point to me where the internet is, please. Oh, you can't, right? Because there's not one physical place for the internet, but you don't mind going on and doing a Google search, right? In fact, you expect to get a result back from Google. Just because you don't understand the full weight of the technology, don't mean that you don't use it. Don't mean that it can't be beneficial in your business, in my business, right? It can be. In fact, it will be. And whether or not you embrace it now, you will now. You say you're gonna feel me now, or you're gonna feel me later. I suggest to all of you that you need to embrace AI right now. Embrace it right now. I don't care what you do. You say, I do hair. I don't need AI for that. Oh, yeah, you do. Don't you have to book appointments? Right? Don't you have to make orders of products? Right? There might be some techniques and stuff that you may learn differently through the use of it. Right? There are some other things that even scientists are using AI to maybe helping to figure out the best formula for a new wig. Right? Or new edges that you put on, and women with all these edges and things, right? So it might be a formula for it, Taurus. It might be a formula for it. So understand that. So technology disruptions are another big thing that as an entrepreneur, as somebody trying to scale your business to 7+ figures, that you have to be adaptable to. Technology disruptions, right? Regulatory changes. Now, I'm in a heavy regulated environment. For those that new are joining in, and Coach Faz, how you doing? Taurus, Sunshine, Nicole, thank you all for joining in. Listen, I'm in a heavy regulated industry, right? I own an ambulance company, right? You can think about it. I'm regulated by Homeland Security, right? It sounds strange, but yes, where I am, Homeland Security regulates us. So regulations could change. In fact, you hear in the news now, right? We have a government shutdown. Unfortunately, that's not impacting me. But that government shutdown, when things like that happen, there's a lot of industries being impacted. All of our government workers, shout out to our government workers. Those that are trying to figure out things until everything gets settled. So shout out to them. We wish them nothing but success and a quick resolve for them, right? But regulatory could change the way you do business, right? From an insurance perspective, I'm contracted with maybe, I don't know, probably 100 insurance companies. I just can't keep up with them all. The changes on them happen all the time. And some of them are due to regulation. Some of them are due to regulation that insurances change, right? So those things, hey, thank you everybody. Hey, Edward, Coach Faz, I see you came back. Sunshine, Taurus, all right, everybody in. So regulatory. Now, these are things that as an entrepreneur you have to be adaptable to, right? I'm talking about the mindset and the movement of an entrepreneur, a successful one. Now, you can be an entrepreneur. You can use that term. And a lot of terms are just overused. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. But look, what it takes, the grit and the grind and the sheer grit it takes to be an entrepreneur. I'm talking about through the dark times when maybe you don't get paid that week, but your people do. Not even a week. It could be long. And then where you look in and see one day you have $10,000 today, and then the next day the next week, and you trying to figure out where the money at, right? I'm talking about those ups and downs until you can really figure out. You need a coach. You don't try to run into business and think, hey, I see everybody do it on TikTok. I can be a business owner. Yeah, you can, but you really need a coach. Trust me when I tell you. Everybody, I'm a 7-figure business, right? I have coaches that are 10-figure business coaches, right? Why? Why? Because I have to get to that level. And if I'm at this level, how can I get to that level? What would make that journey easier for me? What would make that journey even smarter for me? So I get those coaches. And guess what? Those 10-figure coaches, they have 11, 12-figure coaches. Right. Why? Because everybody understands that there's a certain thing. There are certain cheat codes on every level, folks, that you need to know before you can get to that next one. And that, look, Nicole, that just it's just some cheat levels that they're just out there like that. I'm sorry, you won't know everything right away. You just won't. You say, well, my family's been in the business. Well, guess what? That's fine. That's good. But how are you going to scale that? What is your vision if you're taking over your family business? What is the scale for you as the entrepreneur now, right? If you're taking it over, right? So regulatory things, those can be some things that can affect your business. Operational efficiencies, right? Again, I can go back to AI with that when it talks about the operational efficiencies, things that you just have to do. You can be looking at your payroll, and all of a sudden you're looking and saying, "Hey, we just spending way too much overtime, right?" How do you fix that? How do you fix this overtime, this overspend, right? Or how do you go through and look at all of the bills that you're paying out? I can give you another secret. So I had a friend that told me about a bill that they had. He manages a church, all the church finances. They got a bill from the power company, and the power company said this number is whatever it is, right? And they said, this can't be right, right? So he did, and so he used AI. They say, hey, AI, I'm looking at this bill, and I don't know if it's right, but can you, even if it is right, can you give me a way to ask for a reduction of this bill so that we won't have to pay this bill? Do you know that ChatGPT gave him a reasonable fee to ask for, to the point where they said yes to it? They said yes to it, right? So creating operational efficiencies might look like anything, right? And you don't have to be. And listen, everything that I'm telling you guys, you're not gonna know up front when you're in your business. You're not gonna know. But if you're using some of the AI tools, the only thing you have to be really smart with at this time, you don't have to be as smart to know all of this stuff. You have to be really smart, though, to understand how to prompt it, to ask it the things that you need to ask. Thank you. I don't know the rest of it. She's the one, maybe. Oh, yeah, there it is. She's the one when I tapped on it. She's the one. So thank you for joining. G Money. Hey, Alex Z. You got a wonderful name. My name is Alex Dunlap, so I know you're a great guy. Make sure you tap in. Everybody hitting the screen and all that good stuff. I'm sharing this information. I don't ask you for nothing. You don't have to send me any money. Just something to tap. If you can share it out, that would be fantastic as well. All right. So those operational efficiencies, how do you get them? I mean, do you scale? How can you scale? Is operational efficiencies created by cutting the bottom line or raising the top line, right? Is it working with someone else? Maybe that's creating an operational efficiency. Do you know that most of these big companies, like, have you seen where these large hotel chains, they actually merge together? Why did they do that, right? Why are these large companies, billions and billions of dollars of companies, and small businesses that we have represented here on in the chat, that we don't think like that? Do you know that they're giving us the blueprint for how we should be operating? We should be collaborating with other like businesses, if you can. We should be creating efficiencies that are gained by that. We should be doing those things, right? This is to help you to extend the life of your business, right? So those are the regulatory changes, operational efficiencies, and now competitive pressures. That's the last thing from the come down that I'm gonna talk about under adaptability, right? That drives business success or business change. So competitive pressures, right? What does that do? So in my mindset, guys, I don't have a competitor. So what? Yeah, people do the same thing that I do, but I don't have a competitor. And why is that? Because I've created a niche in my market that I handle a certain customer and clientele base that my so-called competitors don't do. So it's another thing for you entrepreneurs. You got to be very introspective. First of all, you got to understand your market, right? You got to understand what's going on around it. But then you have to be willing to shift, right, into a niche right inside of what you do, right? If you sell chicken, if that's your niche, you got the best fried chicken on this side of the Mason-Dixon line, right? The best fried chicken that ever existed. So does everybody else. So does everybody else. What makes your chicken different to the consumer, right? How are you going to get that across? And that will become your niche. It could be. You could package it up in a whole different way, right? You can sell each one of your chickens with a chicken soup. But you have to have a niche. You gotta have a niche right within there, because there will be people that do the same thing. But I can guarantee you, G Money, I can guarantee you this, is that there is enough money inside of the thing that you are an entrepreneur in for you to make all the money that you want. There's enough. There's enough money there. I don't care where you are. There's enough money out there. And guys, this year, 2025, going into 2026, is the year that money is going to shift from their hands into yours. It's your turn. It's your turn. This is going to be the biggest wealth creation time frame, and it's going to be fueled and powered by AI, by the way. But it's going to be a money shift, right? The baby boomers, the baby boomers, it's a shift now. A lot of them are expiring, and then that old money is now becoming your money. Are you in position to do right by it? Are you in position to make a move with it? It is your time, Napper. It's your time, Alex Z. Your time, right? Competitive pressures. Competitive pressures, they exist if you do not figure out how to find your own niche in that, and then make sure you make that move. I'm still talking about the mindset. For those that just joining, I'm Alex. I'm the ambulance guy. What do you mean? Yeah, I own an ambulance company. So if I can create efficiencies in an ambulance company using AI, if I can tell you, just give you secrets about how to move like an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur, look, folks, then I want you to be able to, share that out. Say hi. Keep tapping that screen. I don't, the way I'm doing this thing, I'm on the computer, so I can't really see if you guys are doing all the tapping that I need to do. I need a moderator to tell me to tell everybody to start doing the right thing, right? I don't see any highs, anything like that. So make sure you start to do that so I can see something pop up on the top screen here. Okay, cool. So here's one thing that I love talking about. I love this because I think this is key, right? And I said a little bit of it earlier. Successful people, folks, you've heard it, but I'm gonna tell it to you in my way. Successful people, we don't spend a lot of time analyzing this before we make a move. Analyzing this, that, and the other. We don't spend. In fact, I call it we shoot, then we aim. We shoot, then we aim. Why is that? Because I am confident enough to know that if I see an opportunity that I think is good, I don't have to know all the details before I make a move. Because G Money, one thing I know for sure, if I wait too long, the opportunity is gone. Did that rhyme? If I wait too long, the opportunity is gone. I just got a phone call today. There was a lady trying to sell me residential home, right? Now, I need to know the numbers. I'm not going to be no fool. Dar, I ain't going to be no fool now. Just jump out there like that, David. You know what I'm saying? And Hanny, I'm just not going to just jump out there like that. But if I look at the numbers and they close enough to being right, then it might be an opportunity that the ambulance guy might have to jump on, right? Not even in my city. Not even in my city. That's how I even became the ambulance guy in the first place, right? I left corporate America where I was an IT guy, right? And did it for 23 years. But then I saw an opportunity, folks. I shot and then I aimed. I shot first and then I aimed. And guess what? I ain't looked back since. I haven't looked back since. Have you, she? Have you, she, the one? Have you looked back since you jumped into your gig to the thing that you've been successful about? No, I don't look back. Look, and guess what? If I make mistakes, I don't care about that. I don't care about making mistakes. I move forward. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that, about making mistakes. You know, it's a part of the game. In fact, I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me prime it now. Make all of your mistakes fast, up front, and in a hurry. Make as many mistakes as you possibly can as soon as you can. Do it. That means that that means you're trying something new. That means you're trying to move the business forward, right? You'll get smarter with each failure, right? It won't be a big failure, but it'll be something that'll help you move on. But a successful person, I don't care. Look, all successful people operate like I'm telling you. We do not spend a lot of time doing analysis on things. We don't spend a lot of time on it. We're gonna operate to the point where we're gonna get that opportunity before it passes us. This is the opportunity right now. Did I tell you your wealth is now? Your wealth is coming now. Dar, Jeff Lang, your wealth is coming now. Thanks for joining. Asani, thanks for joining. David, thanks for joining. Your wealth is coming now. Are you in position to take it? Right? How many times? Look, for those of you in the chat, how many times have you had some things that come to you, an opportunity that you just didn't take advantage of because you didn't know if it was the right time? You didn't have enough money for it, or you just didn't know, you didn't have enough confidence in yourself. How many times will you let opportunities like that slip and pass you by? How many? You can't. We don't have time for how many? How many? Just think about it. I've let some things slip, in my past as well. But look, never again, David. Never again, good God gift. Never again. Never again would I allow that to happen. G Money, I see your name still up there. No, never again would I allow that to happen to me. All right? So if I see a good opportunity, now look, somebody, I don't have the money for it. Yeah, you may not have the money for it. But that's another lesson. Most rich people don't buy stuff with their money. Did you know that, Edward? Most rich people don't buy stuff with their own money. They don't do that. Like they say, where they do that at? They don't do that, right? All right. So embracing change and growth. So the role of failure, what I just talked about. What is the role of failure for an entrepreneur? See, entrepreneurs who analyze their failures, they gain some valuable insight. It's not just fail fast, fail quick, fail hard, fail as often as quick as you can. It's about learning from that you have failed at, right? Learning. Now, what's the next? The next time you won't do it exactly the same way. You may not get to the result that you want on the next try, but you won't fail like you did the first time, right? I'm going to give you some examples of some failures. I mean, just flat out. I mean, they flat out just didn't get it right. You ever heard of this guy named Thomas Edison? Thomas Edison. Live will end in, no, I want to extend my live. I don't want to end my live. I want to keep my live going. All right, so Thomas Edison. You ever heard of that guy? Thomas Edison. They said that he had thousands of opportunities to fail when he was trying to create what they call the light bulb. Let me ask you this. Anybody got lights? Raise your virtual hand if you got lights, right? But that was from a bunch of failed attempts that now he finally figured out the formula. And now we have lights. And we're the beneficiaries of that light. Simone, thank you for joining. All right. Pure greatness. That's it. Right? So, Thomas Edison. How about Walt Disney? Anybody ever heard of Walt Disney? Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of Laugh-O-Gram Studio? They went bankrupt. But Disney went on from there to create a lot of other things that did not fail. A lot of you know Walt Disney, but they had a lot of that was an animation studio. The Laugh-O-Gram was animation, right? But they didn't went on to that ain't on Pixar and all those other things that you know so well, right? So what they were bad at, they end up acquiring or purchasing some things too, right? They end up purchasing things because I'm bad at. And again, I talked about how you can probably pair with somebody else and do something, or maybe you can buy something. Maybe you can buy a business, you know. Let me ask you another guy. Probably one of the premier co-founders, CEOs that we know, Steve Jobs. He was fired from the company in 1980s, and then he was rehired back. And the rest, folks, is history. How many of you on here have iPhones? Raise your virtual iPhone hand if you know. Throw something in the chat if you have an iPhone. That's from a guy who got fired and then rehired, and then he's probably one of the best CEOs that of our time that we know, right? Right. How about Arthur K.J. Rollins? Anybody know him? I'm sure some of y'all do. That's the Harry Potter guy. He submitted that book, I think 12 times. In other words, but now that's one of the most successful selling series of all time. So about 120 million copies sold of that, the Harry Potter series. These are all failures, folks. That's what I'm saying. You have to fail hard, fail fast, fail quick. You're going to fail. It's a part of it's just a part of the game. It's a part of the game, but you're going to stick in there because why? Because the very first thing that I said, because you're going to have that vision to keep you moving forward, right? Again, you don't know all the details in there. You won't. You won't know all of the. You just know I want to get from point. And that's your job as a successful entrepreneur, is not to really have all the details figured out. What I find is that most folks, vision is their issue. Vision is their problem, because you're not really visionary. You think you want to be a CEO. You think you want to be an entrepreneur because you don't want to work for nobody. But it requires something of you. It requires something of you. You cannot be the same person that everybody else is around you, right? You cannot be. Y'all got me sweating over here. You cannot be a regular worker. You cannot have a regular worker mindset. You got to have, that's what we're talking about, the CEO mindset tonight. All right, I'll see one heart. Can y'all do better than that? One heart? Come on, really? And no gifts at all? I don't even think not one gift. Am I that horrible? but look, a mindset. You gotta have it. You're gonna have setbacks, but you gotta move. You gotta move forward. So any of those people fail that you know? Of course you do. Now let's go back to the word comfort zone. I love this one because engaging in challenging situations fosters personal growth. So embracing discomfort. It's tough. This is uncomfortable for me, being on this live, and I've forced myself to say I am going to do this live every day. I'm gonna do something live every day. So if you guys want to chime in with me, then come on, because I'm gonna do a live every day. That's what I've told myself I'm gonna do. I'm also doing more posting content. Do you know I was able to scale a business without ever advertising? Right? Ever advertising. Why? Because I chose an industry where Medicare and Medicaid is pretty much my advertisers. All right? So some of you that may have never thought, say, I didn't know you can own an ambulance company. I thought it was just the cities or something. No, there are private ambulance companies, and I'm one of them. But most of that money that we get are paid through insurances and everything else. Of course, we do have a few private pay and nursing homes and other stuff that may pay us, but majority of that money comes from those Medicare, Medicaid programs, right? So if any of you are looking for good government money, and the cheat code goes on and on and on. I got some other things that show that for you that that have no idea how they when you look behind the curtain how stuff is run, man. It's amazing what's back there once you finally get yourself in those seats. But it starts with you. Now you got to be one that is you got to be a visionary. Now you don't have to be smart. You don't have to be the smartest one in the room. Now a great CEO, I can tell you what, a great CEO is one that knows how to pull people around him or her, right, to help with your vision. Like I told you up front, I was the one doing everything, right? I'm not an accountant, but I was doing all of that, right? I knew how to do a spreadsheet because I was an old IT guy, right? I'm one of the best call taker. Definitely didn't want to be a driver, but I had to do all of those things. So as I started employing people who did those things, then I can sit back, right? Now I go out as a undercover boss kind of thing, or I might jump on a rig, or I might jump in a wheelchair van and then go support some of my people, or jump out there and go grab a patient. And so I'm all the time I'm looking to figure out, I'm gauging the employees, I'm gauging some of our patients. So I'm just trying to see. So nothing is beneath you as a CEO, guys, as a successful one. Now, if you think you're gonna just, most of you get a job and then you work your job, and then so you're really not a CEO or an entrepreneur. You just have bought yourself a job, right? Now you have to make it work because you're an employee of your own job and you're paying yourself, right? But there's a way to scale it to the point where you don't have to work in that business every day like that. But you definitely need to stay in touch with that, right? So the comfort zone, man, get out of there. There ain't nothing in there. Ain't no growth in comfort zone. Get out of the comfort zone. There is no growth in there for you, right? So as soon as you feel like you have gotten to a point where you got it just where you want it, it's time for some disruption. It's time for change. As soon as you get exactly to the place that you have finally made it, that's when it's time to change, right? That's when it's time to do something different. Don't stay there. It's going to be the doom of your company. It's going to be the doom of you. And you'll be back at McDonald's. Right? We don't want you back there. All right. Now, unlocking creativity, exposure to new experiences. And that's another thing. As a CEO, as an entrepreneur, whatever, make sure you put yourself in position to experience new and different things. It's absolutely, I'm talking about be in rooms that you didn't, necessarily feel like they're rooms that you need to be in. I tell you, always do this when you're looking for a coach or a mentor. You need at least 2 mentors. And why, Alex? Why do you need 2 mentors? One mentor is going to be in the space that you're in now, right? Whatever you do now, Gabby, I don't know what that is. If you're an accountant, maybe you need a great mentor that's an accountant. But now, Gabby, for that second mentor, it's going to be somebody not even near that space, but somebody successful in something else. And why? Why do I want you to do that? Because the one that's in your space will know how to navigate within that space, help you with those pitfalls within that. But that other mentor will be the one that can look at your business visionary, right? Can see, hey, I don't even know all of the regulations and all the pitfalls and all the other stuff that you already know about. Only thing I know is I'm going to help you expand your mind because I'm going to ask you some dumb questions that you think are dumb. And then I'm going to ask you to expand your thought and you'll be like, maybe I could look at that. Let me give you an example. I probably shouldn't be saying this over the airwaves, but let me give you an example. I got an ambulance company. That means I do what? I transport people in an ambulance, right? Whether it's emergency or non-emergency. All right. So now what if we think completely out of the realm of that, and I think, what can we do with an ambulance that has nothing to do with transportation necessarily, right? What can we do that makes sense, or maybe not make sense, to do that you can use an ambulance for, yeah, but it's not the traditional way? And guess what came back to me? Something did come back. Well, maybe we can do clinical research in the back of my ambulance for patients, right? Don't need to take them anywhere, but should something happen that they need to be transported, then they could. But we can do clinical research with paired with a doctor in the back of an ambulance. Does that sound like, something way outside of the box, right? Right, way outside of the box. That's the type of thinking that you have to do when you get that second coach that don't even know the regulations, don't know the ins and outs of your business. That's what that second coach can help you do, right? That's what that second coach can help you do. Invite Boss Bag CEO. Hey, Boss Bag CEO. Look, I hope you can tap in on the bottom and say what he's saying is makes sense to me. Boss Bag CEO. I like that. All right. So does that make sense to anybody? Am I making sense to you? All right, I hope so, because as a CEO, I mean, it's my job right now, because I made it my business to get in your business. I made it my business to get in your business tonight, right? And I'm going to help you scale if you listen. I'm going to help you scale if you listen. All right, and then strengthening your network. Strengthening your network. Listen, you have got to. And this is important for you to maintain your sanity, for you to keep those forces away from you as you start to think, more deeply about where your business should go. Is you need to have folks around you. And listen, everybody won't make this journey with you. Everybody can't make the journey with you. They just can't. I mean, this is family. This is friends. This might be people that started out with you. When you really lock in on what you are doing and your vision for this, then you will see later that everybody won't be able to make that journey with you. And you are not wrong when you tell them this is the end for you. You're not wrong. You will never be able to realize the full capacity of what you and your team can build when you keep forces around you that don't need to go on this journey with you. You have to strengthen that network, and that means you're going to now pull in people around you that are much different than the ones that you may have started out with. All right? These are going to be folks that, you see are movers and shakers in your industry and otherwise. That means that you are going to have to volunteer. Remember earlier I said to you, right, that you're going to have to be a resource for others. You're going to have to volunteer your time. I'm an elected official. In fact, I'm the president of 3 different organizations. I only get paid for one thing, and that's and that's through my business. The rest of that stuff is volunteer. The rest of that stuff doesn't pay my bills, right? Because as some of these things that I do, they put me in rooms and in around people that will ultimately impact who I am as a person and help build me up, but ultimately can actually impact my business, right? And grow my business, give me business. I can't tell you how many times I've been at an event and they're like, hey, you need to talk to X, Y, and Z. And then another business relationship has started after that. All right, Pedro, does that make sense? Allison Stewart, does that make sense to you? How about Morris McFarland? Hey, does that make sense to you guys? Right? Trust me, I know what I'm talking about because I lived it and I'm living it today. I'm living it today. All right, so be a resource for somebody. Strengthen your network by making sure that you expand yourself. Expand yourself. Be a constant learner. Be a constant learner. Okay, Learning from setbacks. Learn from them. Setbacks, hey man, they're just gonna build resilience. It's gonna be but you got to get the key insights from what happened. Why did that happen like that? You know, don't take it as an ultimate failure. Just say what happened and how can I improve on that? How can I improve on that? Right? What happened and how can I improve on it? Right? Ultimate resilience is what failure brings to you. Strategic reflection or for growth, right? So when you conduct a thorough analysis, right, not having paralysis, but doing a thorough analysis of when a setback happens, right, it enables you as an entrepreneur to identify the critical lessons and then do some refining, right? That just allows you to do that, right? That's going to be key. It's going to be key on how you move forward in the next step, all right? How you move forward in the next step. Be a continuous learner, CEO you. There are so many people who, when you listen to them, even if you go on the social media sites and you hear people like me talk, right? Hopefully it sparks something in you to say, oh, you know what, even though I heard it before, now it's said a different way or just restated, right? And now I can receive it. So you have to constantly be in that environment where you are constantly getting those different stimuli so that you can make the change, right? So that you can import that into your business. You can make that a part of your anatomy, right? You can make that a part of what you do every day, right? So be a continuous learner. Continuous learner. Make sure do you go to conferences, right? Whether they're in your industry or not. Do you go to different conferences? You should. And when you go, I'm gonna give you something. I'm gonna give you another secret. When you go, buy the biggest package that they have. If they have a VIP package, buy it. If they have a VIP package, you want it. And why? Why am I saying that? Because there's something additional that to be had by those that are in that VIP section or that with platinum or whatever they got, right? Make sure you get in there because there's some additional things. There might be some other relationships that are formed right within it. I always do it. Say I don't have the money. Yes, you will figure it out. You will figure it out. You will figure it out because you need to be in that room. Because in that room, you will get some additional stuff that the regular people just don't get. Right? I hope this is making sense, Morris. I hope this is making sense, Moslin. I hope this is making sense, Story. I hope this is making sense to you. I thank you all for joining. I hope this makes sense to you. Get in those rooms, right? Why do you think they have those different levels? To charge me more money? Nope. No, because they know that if they don't give you some additional value in that, first of all you're gonna talk about them. you're gonna make it known that they me being platinum meant nothing, right? And they're gonna know that, right? So it's incumbent on them to make sure that they give you that additional something, right? Over deliver, as it were. In a case of we like, wow, I didn't know that. I mean, boom, and then they gave me this, that, now. So that make sure you get that when you go to events. But go to events. Also, make sure you're building a supportive network around you. Now, I have to caveat with this. People in your family may or may not be that support that you need. They may or may not. Because what I find is that people in your family, if you're the first to do something, right? If you're the first to reach $1 million, if you're the first, whatever, to do those things that they haven't done, they can't really see that. And they're not being haters in many cases. They're not. What they're being, they're trying to protect you because they haven't seen that they can do it. The only thing they know is what they know. So make sure you at least get support around you. If they can't take the journey with you, at least they don't hinder you, right? At least they don't hinder you. I have a wife, I love her to death. Now, some things I tell her about, She like, I don't see that like that. I don't see your vision on that, right? So what that means, that what that tells me is that I poorly communicated it. First of all, that's the first thing. But secondly, it tells me that she just don't see it, right? And so I need to navigate in that way. But one thing she never does is she never tries to hinder me. She never gives me negative things. So those are the people that you need to have around you that they may not see it, but they will support you. And guess what? As soon as you make it happen, story or JB99999, as soon as you make it happen, they'll be like, "Oh, I already knew that you could do it." Right? Have anybody ever experienced that before? How about strong like mom, or strong like bull? Right? Pebbles. Have you ever experienced that where you did something and then all of a sudden it's, oh yeah, I was always on board. I'm sure you were. Nobody gave me a heart meet. Nobody, really? Come on. Seriously? All right. All right. So, but yeah. So building a supportive network is key. Why? You can't go this journey alone. You just can't. You cannot walk these streets on your own. You, as the CEO, as the entrepreneur of your business, it is important for you to have the high energy. It's important for you to have the vision. It's important for you to be strong when everybody else is weak. It's important for you to stand up and show folks how it is. It's important for you to lead and be in the front and not in the behind. It's important for you to do all of that. But at some point, Damon and Mickey, at some point, you are going to get weary because you're human. Now, if you're a robot, don't worry about what I'm saying, Morris. If you're a robot, don't worry about what I'm saying. But if you're human, know that sometimes you will get weary and you will need support. Right? And here's what I have. Here's my issue. Here's where I went wrong, guys. Here's where I went wrong, story. Here's where I went wrong. I didn't want folks to think that I was a failure, so when I needed help, I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask. Because you might think I'm a failure, Pedro. And I can't have you think that, because I as an entrepreneur, I gotta have all my ducks in a row, and you already think I do, don't you? And you'll be surprised, Anise. You'll be surprised that what you think of yourself and what other people think of yourself are completely different. You think everybody thinks that you got everything under control when they saying, yeah, that joker's about to fall any minute now, right? So it's important to have you a supportive team. And what does that support team do? Well, they tell you exactly what it is that you should be doing. They won't sugarcoat it for you. They're not your yes men and women. They're just not. They just going to tell you exactly how they feel and what they, and what they think you should do. And then you have the choice. I mean, it's your company. You have the choice to receive that or not. That's on you, right? But those are the type of people. And when you fall, they're not gonna be like, "See, I told you." They're gonna be like, "Okay, hey man, what we got to do to get it back going?" And that's what I have, and then that's what I can respect in my wife, because she's like, "Hey, what do we have to?" One day she came to me, "What do we have to do in order to do X, Y, and Z?" Again, I told you earlier, for those that join in later, that she's not in the business, but she knows of the business. And welcome, Kobe and Anise. Thank you. But hey, what do you have to do? What do we have to do in order to make X, Y, and Z happen? And I can appreciate that. So you cannot go this journey alone. You cannot go this journey alone. So get you a supportive team around you. Strategies for developing the entrepreneur mind. What are some strategies? You've been telling me about what it is now. So what strategies do you have, sir, that's going to allow me to develop that? Okay, number one is learning as a continuum. In fact, put learning in your daily regimen. Learning that continues. Now, I don't care what business you do. You don't know everything that there is to know about it. You need to be the guru in it to some point. Now, let me give you an example. They have doctors, but do you know that that general doctor? He's very general, but then they got specialties, right? They have neuroscience, right? They have podiatrists. They have foot doctors, and I can say podiatrists because I just had foot surgery. But they have specialists in that because whatever business you're in, there's deeper you can get. You can go deeper into that business and learn even more insights about it. So you need to be a continuous learner because guess what? If you starting out, let's say you are a 7-figure business, Mickey. Let's say you are, and the king. Let's just say you've reached your 7 figures. You're not $1 billion company or $1 trillion company. What do those companies that are doing that? What are they doing? Is it the same? Do they have some sort of what's behind the veil of those companies, those insights that you can pull to help build your company up even further? What are those insights, right, that you need? So be a continuous learner. Don't think you know it all. You won't. Don't think you know it all, right? Incremental progress tracking. Listen. Look, King, homie, number one homie. That's somebody's name, guy. People, that's somebody's name. Mosley. Incremental progress tracking. Make sure that you see yourself going from A to B, B to C, C to D, right? Don't think that because when if your goal is to get from 0 to $100 million business, then you have got to go from A to B. Very rarely will something fall out the sky to where you go from 0 to 100 million. There'd have to be some very special circumstances. I can tell you that lightning don't strike everybody. So what is A to B to C to D, right? So just make that incremental progress, and then celebrate when you do. You get your first contract. Celebrate. I made the mistake of telling one of my friends, pretty good, I guess he earns a pretty good living. But anyway, I told him that, I felt kind of bad. I said I only made seven figures, and I should really be 10 figures by now. He said, "Fool." He said the little boy, sitting at home with mom and wanting to be an entrepreneur and gain money, think that you have done a phenomenal job, and you sitting here licking your wounds as if you didn't do anything, right? Because I was silly enough not to sit and think and say, hey, you know what, that is. I didn't have a $1 million business when I was sitting in corporate America. I didn't have that. I didn't have that as I was growing up. I never seen any of my family members have anything like that. So why am I so get to that point and did, what it was, guys? Because I was in the grind so much. I was into the grind so hard that I could not appreciate how marvelous that move was to go from that number to where I am. I just wasn't in a mindset to receive it because I was just thinking about the grind. Right? And if I can help you ease some of that grind, man, if you can take some of these things that I've said, go back and listen to it again if you can. You know what? This is a live, so I don't know if they do that. What I'll do is I'll repost it again, I guess. But understand that the grind, man, helps you. Man, you miss out on the process. You miss out on understanding the process and refining and then looking at the incremental targets because you're in the grind so much. But man, so I can tell you, if you adopt what I said early, and if you move forward with it now, then maybe you won't make the mistake that I did, but not appreciating and benefiting from the move that we make, right? Right? And the last thing is refine failures and make them positive. In other words, hey, I am so glad that failed at this time, so now I can move on to the next thing. Instead of saying, oh man, woe is me, what am I to do? It didn't work, right? Because there's always more than one way to get something accomplished. Always more than one way. So that one way that you did that didn't work, that's fine. There's another way to do it. There's another way to do it, right? Right? So go after that way, because that's the one way you need, right? All right. So staying motivated and focused, man. I told you that's probably one of the hardest things to do as an entrepreneur is just stay motivated and focused. That is all internal. That's all internal. That has to come from you. Now you're gonna have to get yourself, like I said before, a good support team on the side. But when it all boils down, man, it's on you. That's why everybody ain't cut out to be no entrepreneur. We got all these social media things hyping everybody up, thinking, hey, you just go back and get your own business, man. Everybody ain't cut out for it because you got to have a temperament unlike anybody else in your organization. You got to have a positive thing that, hey, I know it's messed up now, but it's gonna get better, and then they gotta believe you, right? You have to be the one, right, to make those to stay motivated when nobody else will at that time. Nobody else will. You got to be the one. That's a lot of weight, right? Are your shoulders made for that, right? If they not, you got to go get toughened up. You better go get you some, go work out. Look, you got to have some tough shoulders to want to have all of that weight on you, right? But I can tell you, if you can honestly say, yeah, I can handle that, and then you actually get through it, it's joy on the other end of that, right? It's a joyful thing to be able to have a business where people work for you and they earn a living and they go and they raise a family off the money that, from your company. It's a wonderful thing to have, right? But your shoulders have got to be strong because there's going to be a lot of stuff coming on you, folks, right? That's what I'm talking to you about, the entrepreneurial mindset. That's what I'm talking to you about. It's not just all glory. For those that have been in the grind for a while, you know what I'm saying is true. It is not all glory, but it is glorious, right? Mindfulness and practice for focus, right? So incorporating mindfulness techniques. If you're not a prayerful person, I hear a lot of people talking about the universe now and all that, whatever. One thing I want you to know is that you got to embrace that there's something greater than you, right? There's something greater than you. Even in your success, even in your failures, there is something greater than you that you have to acknowledge, right? If you take all of what you have done and say, hey, look at what I've accomplished, I submit to you that it will be snatched from you. If you look at everything and say, oh, I'm such a failure, then I submit to you that you can't even claim that as your own. Understand that if you have the vision to go do your business the way that and to go in and do whatever it is that you need to do, then you did not get that from yourself. That didn't come from you, right? You were put here with that vision to open your business, whatever it is you're going to do, be a CEO, whatever. You were put here to be that for somebody else. Yeah, you were put here for that, right? So you cannot take the credit or the blame all on your own without understanding that there's something greater than you, right? So if you're not a prayerful person, if you don't go and meditate or block some time out for that, I'm suggesting that it may help you center yourself to the point where, because sometimes you got to get away from the hustle and the bustle of everything and get centered, right? Because it's going to come fast, furious, and hard as you take on the responsibility of owning your own business. It's going to be a tough road to go without you being able to be centered in some way, right? Nobody gave a gift, a heart, a rose, or nothing? Or am I just not seeing it? Because I'm on my computer. I'm on the TikTok, what is this thing called? The TikTok Studio Live. Maybe you just don't see everything in here. I'm just going to assume that. Then when I go back later and look at it, then I'll know better. Hopefully. All right? But that, I want to share that with you. Now, again, you got to celebrate the small wins too, guys. As you center yourself and come back, understand that you're going to have wins. I don't care what they are. You hired a new employee, and it looks like that new employee is going to work out. That's a win, right? You got rid of a bad employee. That's a win. That's a win. It helps you move on. Hey, you made your first sale to a nursing home, or you made your first sale to a contract sale. Hey, that's a win. All right, it's a win. It's a step. It's a step. It's that A going to B. It's that B going to C. It's a step. Right? And then it's important to, as you celebrate, and as I tell you, as you get all of your people together, let me say this: I have to get much better at doing this with everybody. I can't, with everybody, but it's important to give recognition. Some people thrive on recognition, right? They say, "Hey, you did a great job." Some people are like, "Hey, just just pat me on the back." Others say, "Hey, give me extra dollar." But it's important to understand what recognition means to that employee, right? So it's important to do that because you can't go this journey alone. You cannot do this journey by yourself. King, thank you for joining. Marco Wise, yeah, go ye. Is that okay? I think I might know who that was. TS, a lot of words for that one. Homie number one. So, and then impacting on long-term goals. Celebrating incremental progress. Just celebrate. Building resilience through celebration. Gotta celebrate. Gotta celebrate. You gotta celebrate individually, and you gotta celebrate as a team. You gotta celebrate. Celebrate those small victories, those small wins. I'm getting down to the end. Getting down to the end. I was on here much longer than I expected, but I want to share some books with you that changed my thinking. Can I share some books with you? So you're gonna have to write them down. You have to write them down. The first book that I ever read, and this was that talked about money to me, and it talked about just basically understanding, how the mindset of being rich and anything else like that. It was a book that you've all heard of by Napoleon Hill. It's called Think and Grow Rich. Love that book. I've read it several times. Right? Think and Grow Rich. And then Napoleon Hill has a ton of other books that I've read since then too. So lock in on that. Use that book. How about start with why? I have a on my YouTube page. It's called Ambulance Guy 2014 on my YouTube page. That's one of my first videos I have out there for you to talk about. For me, I'm talking about how do you discover your why. All right. So this is me now moving on from that. Now that we've already discovered our why, now I want to talk about what the entrepreneurial mindset is, right? So now we move on to this now. So, but start with the why by Simon Sinek, Sinek. The next book that I want to suggest to you is The Magic of Thinking Big, right? Remember I told you if you're thinking whatever you're thinking, 10x it or more, do that. And David Schwartz, so the magic of thinking big. And then Mindset, the New Psychology of Success. That's by Carol S. Dweck, PhD. All right. Another one for you. The 21 Unrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Anybody that John Maxwell fan out there, he's had a ton of books, a ton of training series. I've been, when I was in corporate America, I'd take, we had a lot of John Maxwell training courses, so make sure you get some of those. Here's another one, very simple book, and you probably already read it, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's a very simple concept, but Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And that's by Robert Kiyosaki. Kiyosaki. I never say it wrong, but y'all know who it is. And then How I Raised Myself from Failure to Success in Selling. That's by Frank Bettger. And then here's another one. And I love this guy here, and I didn't realize, that how big of a YouTuber he is now. But Alex Hormozi, $100 million offers, right? Great book. And then 48 Laws of Power. That's by Robert Greene. And then the last one, just to help you kind of structure yourself, is the 12-week year. That's by Brian P. Morgan. It's just a different concept about what you think of years. So as you have your business, instead of your year being January to December, your year is in 12-week increments, right? So you're able to assess where you are after 12 weeks. You're able to celebrate even more in those little short time frames, but then you just do them in 12-week increments, right? So that's it. So guys, with that, man, I have gone hour and 40 minutes on this live, and I gotta get. It's 10 o'clock. Oh man, I gotta get up. I gotta go. I gotta drive an hour and a half in the morning to go get me some more learning. Just like I'm telling you to do. I'm a constant learner, constant improver on what I think I know, and then I know that I know enough to just to be dangerous. But there's more. Listen, I thank everybody for engaging with me tonight. The new people I got in. For those that did not click, make sure you click on me. Go into my thing and request me as friend or befriend me and things like that. But you should have sent me some stuff, man. If you didn't, shame on you. Shame on you if you didn't go and hit likes, because it didn't cost you nothing to hit the like button a few times or share it out. But as I always part in saying, is that I need you to execute or be executed. All right. All right. The ambulance guy is signing off.